rain, which a lot of people would agree with me right now that yes, there was load shedding during that particular time, but we did have these blackouts. And then they're also saying, if you won the 2021 elections, we could have seen worse things than what we're seeing today.
You see, let me start by saying that in management of resources in any nation, you listen to the experts, you listen to the technocrats who give you opinions and options, and then you take that one which suits you best. But I'm afraid the current leadership does not have the luxury of getting technical opinions or options. They just wake up, bang, they're gone, and they're deciding and they're doing. Because when you have surplus, and for electricity you can't store, you export. At that point, you negotiate contracts with your friends, you export. And when you have a deficit, you reduce with exports. So if you're going to work out contracts, there should be flexibility in those contracts such that when you have times of plenty, you are at liberty to export. And when there is a deficit, you hold back electricity so that you are able to supply your people, your needs, and so on. That's what we did. There's no magic about that. So I can tell you that we listened a lot to the Zambian people, the experts, the gurus in the industry. They're not our friends in the Europe or America, but the local industry has its own experts and so on. So that's what we did. And they could even predict that with the water levels in Kariba, we are going to have a problem. Because the water levels in Kariba is managed by ZRA, not Zambia Revenue Authority, but the Zambezi River Authority. They manage the waters and they know how much of it Zambia can use and how much of it Zimbabwe can use. And they are always giving guidance to the two republics on how much water to utilize so that there's enough water to take them through to the next season. So that's what we would have done, and we would have done it better. Because we knew and we know that you listen to those who know. But what we have in Zambia is a leader who wants to tell experts all the time. When he meets experts, he's telling them what's in his head and how he thinks things can be better and so on. And these young men and women are just like, wow, what he's telling us, instead of learning. Yeah? And I think it's unfortunate.
Load shedding during your reign, Your Excellency, sorry to cut you short, was referred to as lack of leadership.
Oh, yes.
What could we refer to the current blackouts?
Well, for the first time ever, Zambia lacks leadership. For the first time ever, Zambia lacks leadership. You know, they were saying they had the vision, and look at Dubai, Hakuna Fula, for 10 years. It's now viral, videos are all over showing this guy lampooning us and calling us names that we had no vision. Clearly, Zambia should decide who has the vision and who hasn't, but we had the vision. I can take you to maize, I can take you to anything. We had the vision, but they didn't have. These people, we told Zambians that they will sell this country. We want Zambians when they come here that they've been selling from the word go. Now when they find that they're selling and selling in a very obvious manner, they contrive schemes, they bring their friends from abroad, they come in as investors and so on. Yet they're the same people who are buying these things. It's privatization phase 2. So for me, I think that we cheated ourselves, or we allowed ourselves to be cheated by these cheats.
They're saying Zambians understand and know that the president is not responsible for rains. All these problems as a result of a drought. Did you face any drought during
Well, we did. We faced drought in 2015, 2016. We faced drought. We faced drought. Some drought more severe than this one. But we managed because we had vision, we had foresight, and we knew how to save for a rainy day. It's biblical to save for a rainy day, not to blame the past. No. We saved for a rainy day, and that's how we survived both in agriculture, that's how we survived in the energy sector, because we saved for a rainy day. Sometimes I would insist that, why don't you give us more water in the Zambezi, Kariba water sharing scheme so that we have more energy? Say, no. You need to hold on. And they even developed this term, what they call it? Load management. They call it load management. But it was far much better. People were able to plan. You plan that in the morning from 6 you have power up to 18 hours today awake. But now you can't because electricity visits you at midnight. And by morning it's gone. And you can't do anything. So companies are closing, people are losing jobs and so on. I think we did much better because we planned, we had vision, and we listened to the experts. So I don't really want to compare myself and contrast myself with the failure. Anyway, it's unfair. The guy doesn't just match the class of leadership we provided in PF. He doesn't match the quality of the ministers that we had in PF. He doesn't match the character of the technocrats in the civil service. He has, purged everybody and has brought in his own who are learning by the job, but some of them who don't even have a clue of what they're supposed to be doing. That's why we're here.
Lundazi is known to be a farming hub because the majority of our people depend on this. what was it that you were doing in the past regime to ensure that we have the so-called bumper harvests that the country recorded during your reign?
You see, during our time, by now, we would have had in the sheds in Rundazi all the requirements for the farmer. We would have had seed maize, or seed as they call it. We would have had the fertilizers, insecticides, and everything, readiness for the rains. Because preparedness is not enough if you don't prepare in good time. So what we did best is we prepared for farming by making sure that inputs go to the farmer in good time. We know the problem of some roads being impassable. We tackled those in time. And at the end of the day, the farmer was just merely waiting for the good Lord to bless him with the rains so that he could start farming. And that's what we did best. So when you say, no, leadership lacking, who lacks leadership? They lack leadership. Because right now, as we talk, you can go around all the chiefdoms here in Lungu. You'll be amazed that none have received, even around, how many have received the fertilizer or seed? I don't even know whether they've been paid for their last crop. So I think that there's no magic here. When we say, that's what we used to do, not to talk about how you use your head without using it.
All right. Fast forward to 2026, if you were re-elected, what would you do differently?
I would make sure we don't export maize. I would make sure we don't export maize in the manner that we saw this government do. And I would make sure we don't export power in the manner that they are doing. And I would make sure that I satisfy the Zambian people before I satisfy my neighbors. Of course, we used to do that, but we would reinstate that kind of behavior where Zambians come first. The welfare and good living of Zambians should be of primary concern to us as leaders. All of us, starting from the president to the vice president, the ministers, the civil servants, we should all be mindful that we are here to save the Zambian people. In short, priority number one should be to save the Zambians. If we have bumper harvest, we make sure we store sufficiently to have something in the coming season. If we have excess energy, we manage it in such a manner that we don't deprive the Zambians of the energy like we have done now. Because if the energy being sent to the mines, exported, and so on, was used for us here, there would be a difference. The load shedding and the suffering of the people wouldn't be as heightened as it is. We would have continued, in fact, to continue. Like I said, in Chishimba, in Kasama, Chishimba Falls, there was an investment there, a big one. In Sonda Falls, in Mansa, there was an investment there, a big one. And indeed, the Bangweulu solar energy in Lusaka, near the emphasis there, which produces, that's a 600, which produces about 60 megawatts, would have been accelerated. Such investments would have been accelerated. And I think that we will do when the time comes.
Others would say there are attempts to stop you from recontesting future elections. We've seen issues in court in that regard. We have also seen what has happened to the former ruling party, the Patriotic Front. Is it possible for your re-election in 2026 with all these things that are happening around you and the party?
Why do you think that they're fighting so hard to make it difficult for me to participate in the next election? Suppose they know that we will wallop them. They are worried because they know that they stand no chance at all. The track record and mine now are being juxtaposed and weighed, and people saying, whatever. So they're fighting hard using the legal framework to see whether they can stop me. We've heard of plans to use the courts, we've had plans to use the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and so on. But we are saying no to manipulation. Let there be free and fair elections in Zambia, where people pick a candidate of their choice, and may the country's peace prevail on account of respect for the institutions we have given ourselves to manage our affairs, instead of the manipulation we are seeing now, where you go to ECZ, you tell them you do the ERTC. What right have they got to do the Electoral Reform Technical Committee program they are doing? All this is manipulation, but we are saying no, and the Zambians will say no, and the Zambians will vote in December, in 2026, in August, and they will be on the ballot paper.
Your